Kevin Owens doesn't turn heel. Yet. We have new women's tag team champions. That German crowd was someone else, wasn't it? I'm Pete Vanilla, and this is my review of Bash in Berlin 2024.
Support WrestleTalk!
Before we dive into the review of the show, I want to talk about the pre-show. Now, I know there's not any wrestling on the pre-show, but I want to give a massive shout out to the sit-down interviews they had with Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, and Kevin Owens. I know Triple H being in control of WWE isn't new anymore, but I keep finding things, big or small, that are much better than they used to be. Everything feels so much more natural, and it's not a big ask, but them referencing that if Orton wins the belt, he'll be a 15-time world champion, and Owens and Cody talking candidly about Cody leaving the company and Owens' role in that departure, and how they tie that back into the very natural and relatable feelings going into their title match. Everything just feels so much easier to connect to on every level. And this also might be a good time to talk about the crowd in Berlin. They were electric all night. Insane chants, big cheers, boos, they had it all. Counting the referee's count in German is very fun. I like that, more of that. Once again, an international crowd have elevated what would have been a good show into one of the better ones. It's honestly a recipe for success in WWE. Have every single B show be an international show. It's a cheat code on how to make them feel more important. And it allows for fans across the world to come to shows, makes WWE feel like more of a global company, it makes your shows better, it can allow your international wrestlers to have big hometown pops, which is not what Gunther had on the show because he's not from Germany. So now, the wrestling. We begin with Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens for the undisputed WWE Championship. While the build could be argued to be a little jank getting to this point, the potential story of Kevin Owens versus Cody Rhodes was enticing. Once again, I enjoy when a wrestler's own continuity is referenced. It makes every single wrestler have their own story. It makes every single story unique. Owens turns on people, that's what he does, but spoilers, he didn't this time. The match itself was really fun, with the crowd helping the atmosphere feel electric the whole time, with the pair even getting a standing ovation before the match began. They started feeling each other out, babyface versus babyface stuff, but then they started getting a little too into it later on. Owens kept looking pissed off throughout, meaning they both got into hockey fights and brought the intensity in what could have been a bland babyface matchup on paper. After a few big moves like a rolling senton off the middle rope and a Cody cutter that was counted into a stunner that was counted into a crossroads for a near fall, the intensity picked up even more, spilling to the outside, and the story Owens had brought up came to the fore as Cody went for a top rope Cody cutter, but his knee gave out. The target had been set. The target that Owens said he knew about but hadn't hit a single move on the whole time so far. Cody was struggling. Owens had the opportunity to take advantage, but stopped himself. He didn't want to taint his victory. He didn't want an asterisk next to his win like it was when he won the Universal Championship. He allowed Cody to recover, Cody yelling at him that he's fine, so keep fighting. So Owens kicked his knee in response. After hesitating and not wanting to take advantage, he succumbed, which you'd think might be the heel turn, but then he went to do the apron powerbomb and stopped himself again. He couldn't bring himself to regress to his darkest point, but he does hit a stunner for a near fall. Cody gets back into it though, hitting 2 crossroads, and on the third, it was countered into another stunner for another near fall. Owens went for a swanton bomb, but Cody got the knees up, hit another crossroads, and won. The match was great. They're both great wrestlers and can always put on a good match at minimum. I think the match hit its climax at the knee attack and abandoned apron powerbomb spot, where I feel like Cody should have just hit a crossroads and won, rather than hitting 2, then a stunner, then a counter swanton, then another crossroads to win. The finish felt a little superfluous, but regardless, I had fun. I don't think the symbolism of using the knees, the thing that Owens was targeting in the finish, was worth the extra few moves and going past the climax, but it was a very fun opener and the crowd had set the tone for the night. Post-match, Owens didn't turn heel, showed his respect to Cody, and in a nice little detail, refused Cody showing him respect back and didn't let him raise his hand. Up next was Isla and Alba Fyre versus Jade, Cargill, and Bianca Belair for the women's tag team titles. The magic of video editing was fully present here, as it actually made it look like Dawn and Fyre had actually won some matches sometimes. The video package was trying to put over how rough these past few months for the babyfaces have been, and aside from not winning the title matches by not being pinned in a triple threat and losing via DQ respectively, I failed to see how it's been rough for them. The match itself was okay, nothing super special unfortunately. My biggest issue with the match is that if you're so concerned with protecting Bianca and particularly Jade as your big stars, then there are no stakes for them, there's no peril. They need to have equals or close to equals to deliver some sort of challenge to them, and this match wasn't booked to make the champs look like equals. I think there was one point where the champs actually looked like a dominant force, and that was when Alba Fyre hit a tornado DDT on Bianca Belair while also kicking Cargill off the turnbuckle. That was just A good move by a good wrestler that gave her team the advantage. Every other time the champs got control or maintained it, it was through underhanded tactics or by cheating or just generally feeling inferior but sneaky. If they're your tag champs, make them more imposing. It also means Cargill and Bianca look better when they win because, spoilers, they win. And the finish was fine and the match was decently worked. I just wasn't particularly invested and the booking of the match didn't do enough to hook me in. Following this was CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre in a strap match. And yes, it was the version of a strap match where you have to tap all four corners to win uninterrupted, whatever that means, which is bad. I do not like this version, and you'll see why when I talk about the match, which, in spite of that, was very good. Drew attacked Punk before the bell and took the early control, but Punk came right back into it with a GTS. Now at this point, CM Punk could touch one of the turnbuckles and try to win, but opts not to because he wants to beat up Drew some more. One of the lights stays on that Drew had turned on earlier, and the commentary can't decide whether it should stay on or turn off. I do not like this version of a strap match. After lots of weapons and brawling on the outside with chairs and a back body drop on the commentary table, Drew hits a claymore on the inside of the ring and manages to turn on 3 of the 4 lights, but Punk managed to roll to the outside and pull Drew across the ring into a chair that was set up in the corner. But Drew comes back into it again when he drops Punk from inside the ring to the outside through a table. Drew revealed he still has the bracelet and hits another claymore, but he can't get all 4 lights before Punk comes back into it and hits a GTS. Punk notices the bracelet and gets fired up once more, hitting another GTS, and he starts turning the lights on, hitting a GTS after each light for a total of 5 in the match, taking the bracelet back before tapping the 4th and final light. Now it sounds like the whole red light, green light thing was fine, really. What am I complaining about? And you know what? It was fine. You're right, I should stop being such a baby. But would the match really have been worse if it just ended in pinfall? Was the match really enhanced by the red and green lights, or Drew managing to turn on 3 lights, or Punk choosing to hurt Drew overturning lights on? Or would all of those story beats have been just as good, if not better, in a match with a strap where it's just won by pinfall or submission? It's a rhetorical question. Having the lights added nothing. Aside from that, though, this was a great match. I do wonder how Drew will react to this now that the feud is seemingly wrapped up, with Punk getting not only the win, but the bracelet back too in dominant fashion. Similarly with Owens and Rhodes, it felt like this match reached its climax and then carried on for just a bit too long. I don't know if we needed to see Punk hitting 4 GTSs with each tap of the corner. It felt a little overkill, especially if the feud is continuing, but still, good stuff. Next was the mixed tag match of Liv Morgan and Dominik Mysterio versus Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest, and this one was a lot of fun. It's exactly the match you'd think it would be. Babyfaces standing tall for a while, heels being sneaky and coming back into it, teasers of spots you want to see before the heel shut them down. They did do a good job of drawing out the finish here, and this time I think it was actually done quite well. Lots of soap opera drama nonsense. The crowd went absolutely ballistic, probably the loudest they were all night for a single spot, when Ripley got her hands on Dom Dom and did the head scissor choke in the corner thing that she did to him before he was recruited to Judgment Day. I mean, hey, if that's what got him to join originally, who's to say he might not turn on Liv again and rejoin Rhea? Don't do that, WWE. It was a joke. But Rhea then went for a riptide on Dom, and Liv saved him. But that's fine. Rhea will just get to hit it later, right? Judgment Day came out to cause a distraction, with Finn Balor hitting a sling blade on Priest behind the referee's back, allowing Dom to hit a 619 and a frog splash for a very good near fall, and they continue to wreak havoc at ringside, but Priest overcame them all, while Ripley in the ring hit the riptide on Morgan to get the win. It was a feel-good moment, and the pair of them hugging after the match was great, but they did tease the moment of Rhea hitting the riptide on Dom, and they didn't do it, which means they probably still will do it, so this feud must continue, I guess? But does it really need to, just for that? And finally, it was the main event of Gunther versus Randy Orton for the World Heavyweight Championship, and the crowd were absolutely insane here, singing Randy's theme, giving Ludwig Kaiser's introduction all the gravitas it deserved, and doing all sorts of chants and songs for the entire duration of the match. But quick note to German crowds and all crowds going forward, don't do the wave. It makes me feel icky because it used to be used to show boredom, and it feels weird seeing an excited and invested crowd do it too. The story of the match was a very simple one. Orton targeted Gunther's right arm, so Gunther had to adapt. And when I say that Gunther is a perfect wrestler, I do mean it. Every single time he did anything with that right hand, he sold it. Every single time. Constantly reinforcing what a toll it was to use it. So when he can't get Randy up for a powerbomb 3 times in a row, it makes sense you're invested in his struggle. So then when he does hit that powerbomb, the release is even bigger. An RKO was counted into a German suplex, Gunther hit a big old splash from the top rope and immediately sold his hand again because he's a perfect wrestler. And the finish was a tried and tested one, with Gunther locking in a sleeper hold, Orton powering out of it, Gunther locking it in again, Orton Orton encountering it again, and Gunther locking it in a third time to make Orton pass out, even featuring some nice elbows to make it that much more effective. Gunther retained in a very fun match. And that was Bash in Berlin, a good show that was elevated into a pretty great one courtesy of a wonderful German crowd. I don't have too many more thoughts on it, but you can be sure I can extend it out to an hour when I do the podcast review with Dan Layton later today. I'll give this show a solid 4 out of 5. For now though, why not check out a new episode of Survival Series on Cutscene, where the competitors have to name every single Pixar animated movie.